You know, you've been reading these stories, I assume, that Jews are starting to flee Paris and France and leave the country altogether. Same thing apparently is happening in London. Mark Lewis, a famed libel and privacy lawyer, writes CNN, is leaving Britain. Worn down by years of anti-Semitic abuse and death threats, he's decided enough is enough. The 53-year-old plans to begin a new life in Israel with his partner, Mandy Blumenthal, by year's end. Both were born and raised in England. Both are ready to leave. He says, I just want to get out of here. It's a massive thing to do, but I've actually had enough. People might dislike me in Israel because of my political views, might think I'm too right-wing or left-wing or whatever, but they're not going to dislike me for being Jewish. Now, there's no getting around this, and I'm going to speak the truth. There's always been some level of anti-Semitism in Europe. I mean, we did get the Third Reich, but that's not my focus. It's the refugees. It is the political environment now. The demographics have changed. These countries are flooded with Arabs and Muslims. And no, not all Arabs and Muslims are anti-Semitic. I know I have to say that because there are people out to destroy me in this program, but we all know that. But what's happening is there are enough. And when they come into these countries and they don't assimilate into these countries, you have a problem. And more politicians kowtow to it. In Britain, the head of the Labour Party, Corbyn, is a flat-out anti-Semite, anti-Israel. He's a racist, if you will, in that context. And so, and he's of the hard left. Now, when you look in our own country, I'm sorry, one of the least reported stories on cable, on the networks, even in conservative radio, is what's going on in many of our college campuses. Many students coming in from overseas. Over 300,000 here a year from China. Fine. Not really, but you understand. But tens of thousands coming from the Middle East, coming from Arab and Muslim countries as well. That, in combination with the hard left, is creating, in some cases, on some college campuses, a huge issue, which has been swept under the rug and largely kept quiet. Because our free press doesn't want to get into it. And if they're citizens or naturalized or otherwise, they tend to find a home in the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party more and more is moving in this direction. There's a candidate running in Minnesota. Some people say she's married to her brother. I don't know what the hell she's married to. Whatever. She opposes the effort to defund insurance and other devices and so forth for terrorists overseas. It's pretty incredible. It's happening. You can see it happening. And it's not discussed except behind this microphone by me. The head of the Anti-Defamation League, which used to be a relatively good organization, they voted, the board there, appoint an Obama staffer. And he's a leftist, a Democrat. And it's obvious from the way he's handled the Anti-Defamation League. You see, they devour all these institutions, don't they? Now, our free press will not take the time to really dig into the free speech problems on our college campuses. You saw Chris Cuomo, in the past, Don Lemon, among many others on CNN and MSNBC and their and their colleagues claim to support the free press and be the free press give aid and comfort to Antifa by either underreporting what they do or excusing what they do or giving caveats for what they do. They are a violent, Marxist organization, much like the organizations in the 1960s and 70s. Many of their marchers are armed. They're trained to beat other people with whom they disagree, and to attack the cops. But we have propagandists who claim to be free press, who pretty much defend them. Oh, now and then they'll drop a footnote. Look, we don't support violence, but if it's against hate, but if it's against, but. And this is a big problem. It's a big problem. So circle back, as the number of Jews in these various European countries, like Britain, I think, has around 300,000, that sort of thing. As they're outnumbered by refugees coming from these other parts of the world, they have less political clout. They have less political clout. And I think it's only a matter of time when that happens in this country. And you have front organizations to Hamas and other such organizations like CARE, which are given television time, and they claim to be the largest Muslim civil rights organization in America. Who says? They say. Oh, well, then it must be true. And so this is a growing issue. Now, the vast majority of you listening to my show, you're not Jewish. Some are, obviously, but the vast majority of you are not. But you are patriots. You believe in individual liberty. You reject tyranny. And you support principles and beliefs and traditions and customs in individuals who share those principles, regardless of their background and religion and so forth. That's why you're so special. That's why I am blessed. Here I sit behind a microphone, talking to any week maybe 20 million people. I wouldn't be able to do this in any other part of the world. I know this to be the case. No other place on the face of the earth. In a majority Christian country. What a magnificent, great country this is. I'll be right back. You see, the same leftist forces operating in Europe are operating in the United States. The same media cheerleaders for leftist forces, same thing. Same thing. And if you don't throw in with them, you're a bigot. If you don't throw in with them, you're a xenophobe. You know the names, you're racist, and on and on and on. And yet with your own two eyes and your own noggin, you see and you understand, you comprehend what's taking place in a country. These other countries and our own country. And really, it's as if we have no power over this, because the courts, the media, the Democrats, and some Republicans do not give a damn what the population has to say. Do not give a damn what the law is. That's why you have sanctuary cities. Sanctuary against what? Sanctuary against federal law. We have a Supreme Court that ruled 5-4, Anthony Kennedy writing the opinion, that Arizona could not enforce federal law if the President of the United States didn't want them to. That was the essence of that decision when it comes to immigration. The President has plenary power. Broad power. Well, apparently that's Obama, because when Trump comes into office, he doesn't have plenary power. We have cities and states nullifying federal immigration law, ignoring the President of the United States. Suddenly the Department of Justice can't withhold federal funds if they ignore federal law. In other words, the rules are used against us and the Constitution is undermined. But for them, they set the rules. They set the rules. And then it's all wrapped in compassion and equality. It's appalling is what it is.